Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Sybil Wilkes Live. Yosi Media is proud to present Check-In and Check-Up for Your Health, presented by the American Heart Association and the American Diabetes Association's No Diabetes by Heart initiative. November is American Diabetes Month, and we are raising awareness and understanding of the link between diabetes and cardiovascular disease. No Diabetes by Heart was designed to comprehensively combat the national public health impact of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Joining Sybil for this important conversation is funny man David Mann from Medea's Class and Family Reunion, Meet the Browns, and currently assisted living on BET. Special messages from Anthony Anderson. Our panel guests include adult practitioner Ken Ketter, No Diabetes by Heart ambassadors living with type 2 diabetes Anthony Wilson, and caregiving coach Patricia Bailey. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death and a major cause of heart attacks, strokes, and heart failure for people living with type 2 diabetes. Let's get ready for a lively conversation. If you're living with type 2 diabetes, talk to your doctor about your risk for heart disease and stroke. Learn more at nodiabetesbyheart.org. And now, here's Sybil.
Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of Sybil Wilkes Live. I am your friendly neighborhood health advocate with a check-in and check-up for all of us. This all started back in the day. You may remember I worked with a little radio show called the Tom Jordan Morning Show, and Tom was just determined to get our people fit and fabulous. And so that's where Take a Loved One to the Doctor began, and all those many years ago. And then it became Take a Loved One to the Doctor season. Well, we are considering this now, this check-in and check-up, as Doctor Day 2.0. So welcome in as we begin our journey and encourage everybody to check in and check up. Our goal is to inform and empower all of us on the road to overall wellness. That's the physical, that's the mental, the emotional, financial, let's talk about that, and political. So you might be wondering, what does that mean politically? Well, that means that we engage with our representatives, our politicians, and we also elect people who put forth legislation that promotes our overall wellness. That's a part of it. That's a big part of it, as we know today. So we want to thank our check-in and check-up partner, the ever wonderful American Heart Association, in association with the American Diabetes Association, as we know diabetes by heart. So let's just start here with the promise that as you watch this today and you're taking your notes, make note that we need to check in and check up on each other. Right? So, Lord knows I need a lot of checking in and checking up on. Trust and believe. I have more people than I probably deserve to have, but I need all those people as they check in and check up on me. And so all of us have that. And even if we say we don't, let us recognize that we do. All of us need that check in and check up. So that also is not only checking in and saying, how you doing, but also as we check in and check up and get our folks to the doctors, all of those doctors that we need to keep our bodies, our instruments running and in fine form and fashion. That's what we need to do. So if we need to help them make the appointments, as we need to schedule the dates, write it down, remind, and then ask them on the day of, you got your clean underwear out there? Okay, put it on. Let's go. Whatever way we can do to encourage and to inform and empower people in this long, hopefully long process of life. And especially today, as we talk about our friends and our loved ones who are affected by diabetes. So check in and check up on your loved ones. That's what we're promoting today. And don't forget, we will continue to do this, and especially how diabetes affects all of our lives, whether we have it or not. We have people in our lives who have diabetes, who have had a lifelong situation with diabetes in some cases, and what they're doing. They're giving us great information today, and I think you'll enjoy it as well as learn some things today. So let's start with my great friend and co-host. Okay, maybe he's not that great of a friend, but he is a wonderful and talented man. And speaking of which, man, his name is David Mann. David Mann is the talented and popular television and stage actor. He's a gospel singer. Lord knows he's a stand-up comedian, and he has a wonderful helpmeet in his wife, the ever popular and wonderful God sent to you, David Mann, Tamala Mann. And you guys have starred in many of the Tyler Perry productions, including Meet the Browns and the current hit, Assisted Living on BET. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sybil. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited because every time I try to get with you guys and to talk about your book and things like that, you guys are always so busy. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us today on something that's so very important that plays a big part in your life. And I'm very glad that you're able to join us and to share your journey with people and what you're doing, what your life looks like as you live with diabetes, right?
Yeah.
So David,
as I live with it, yeah.
Yeah. It's not controlling you, but you have taken control of your life. And so let's talk about your journey. How did it all start?
It started simply with a doctor's visit, and a lot of times we don't know to have the doctors to check our A1C level. So a friend of mine told me, have the doctor to check your A1C, because I was feeling a little sluggish, just feeling a little crazy, not myself. And they checked my A1C level. And for those of you that don't know what A1C, it's your level with, I think it's your average 3 months average of your blood sugar level. And once they checked that, we discovered that my A1C was high. And hey, by the way, you have diabetes.
By the way.
I can remember, yeah, and that's something that I wanted to address too, because, it was just like, here, by the way, take your medicine and go home. And, I'm just not the kind, I hadn't done medicine and stuff like that. And I just went and I researched things that you could do to help live with it rather than just die with it. Because, from what we heard back in the day, you got the sugar, these are the things that's going to happen. You're going to amputate, you're going to go blind, you're going to have a heart attack. And so now, I'm afraid. And so, that just started me on my journey to saying, like, hey, this is not a death sentence. I just got to learn how to control it.
That's great that you have that personality to get as much information and knowledge about this in dealing with it and taking control over the situation. Had you had a family linkage to diabetes?
Not really, but they say it's hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's so much as the disease is hereditary. I know the doctors will say different, but I think it's our lifestyle of our family that's hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
Mama liked the sweet potato, so I like the sweet potatoes and the sweet potato pie. And so that, that's what's passed down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I didn't have a family history, but, it was in our family.
I think that you are a wonderful example, and I'm really glad that you're here today as we continue this conversation and talk about checking in and checking up. And want to thank you for joining us. You're going to be with us for the show, but also I just want to just really congratulate you for being the person that you're a poster child for what we're talking about, David. Man, you got this diagnosis and you taken charge of it, and as we encourage people to take charge of their health, to check in and check up, and others check in and check up on those in your lives as well.
I wish I could have been the poster child winning the lottery or something, but I'll take this.
Well, you know what? You are the poster child in the lottery of life because you bring us such joy and laughter every week on Assisted Living, as well as your music with Tamala and your books and everything. You're such an inspiration. So you are the poster child in more ways and the riches beyond what the lotto brings you.
Okay, I'll take it.
Begrudgingly, but you'll take it.
Yes.
All right, David.
I really do. In all seriousness, I think this is something that we have to address because I know we're coming through a pandemic with COVID, but this was the pandemic before the pandemic. We just didn't know about it.
That's
You know,
right.
when you're talking about roughly almost 19% of African Americans who, you know, either have or don't even know that they have diabetes. And so this was the pandemic before the pandemic.
That's right. That's right. And we're going to talk to Kim Ketter. Kim is a national volunteer expert. She knows diabetes by heart. She is an adult nurse practitioner, a certified diabetes educator, and also the owner of a diabetes clinic with her twin sister in Petersburg, Virginia. And let's welcome back our old friend, Kim Ketter. How are you, Kim?
I'm doing great. How are you, Sybil? Hi, David Mann. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. How are you, Kim?
Fantastic. Doing great.
So, Kim, today we're talking about checking in and checking up. You know, we have talked about knowing diabetes by heart, and we are continuing the conversation because checking in and checking up is something that you do on the regular with your patients as well as with those in your life, you know, everyday life, right?
That's exactly right. It's so important to have the information, first of all. And people learn differently and they get their information from different sources. They get it from their friends, from their families. But what we encourage people to do is just make sure you got the right information. The right information is pertinent. We try and share the information just like we're talking here. You know, we liken our clinic to helping the village. You know, we don't necessarily say it's a medical facility. We say this is the village. You come to the village for help. You come to the village elders for help. But it's really important just to get the information out there. You know, our village is dying and we don't have to die. And I like what David Mann said just a little bit ago, that this was the pandemic before the pandemic. You know, people were dying in droves from diabetes way before COVID even existed. So this is a perfect time, being, you know, November is, you know, National Diabetes Awareness Month. So it's a perfect time to start talking about this again.
But it is, and as we recognize this, you're absolutely right. November is National Diabetes Month, but this is a day-to-day lifestyle for many people. And as David mentioned, you know, he took control of this as soon as he got his numbers. Let's talk about some of those numbers, how people are affected, and especially in the African American community.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And again, like in what he was mentioning about the hemoglobin A1C in particular, it's so paramount that we get that checked. For a long time, we were using that particular tool just to see where people who were diabetic were in the grand scheme of it, how well they were controlled. But they've moved to getting this and using this more as a prevention tool, or to make sure of that you're not diabetic, in other words. So the A1C is that 3-month average. It's a 3-month blood sugar average. So it really tells us how well you've been doing 3 months prior. And for anyone who is not
I'm sorry, and not just 3 hours before you went to the doctor, you stopped eating something you shouldn't have had.
Right. And that's what a lot of patients get. They thinking, you know, well, I'm not going to eat this cupcake or whatever before I go to the doctor because I know they're going to get this blood. They told me not to eat this stuff. But the A1C will throw you under the bus because the A1C looks back 3 months. It doesn't care whether you've just eaten or not. And
you can trick them with the prick. You can trick them with the prick, but you can't trick them with the A1C.
That's right.
I think there's a song in there somewhere, David.
You can trick them with the prick.
You're right, though, because it can be 100 when you get in the doctor's office, but you got all this sugar hanging on your red blood cells from 3 months ago that we see unless we get an A1C. And that's really what that is. So without any problems with blood sugar, not having any difficulty, your A1C should be less than 5.7. It should be less than 5.7. That's the number. No problems with diabetes, no problems with blood sugar, less than 5.7. 5.7 to 6.4 is that pre-diabetes borderline category. That makes me a little nervous because in our clinic, that's when we really start hammering on our guys, for lack of better terms, but we get really serious about it when we see that borderline, because we understand if we make those lifestyle changes, it doesn't necessarily have to move to diabetes if we get serious about losing the weight and changing the diet, lowering the carbs, getting rid of the soda, move 30 minutes most days of the week. Those things can really help. But any A1C 6.5 or higher, you got the diagnosis. That's diabetes.
Yeah. And just for me, just to piggyback, another simple thing, because I know we think when we're diagnosed, there's some of the hard stuff that we have to do. I went to breakfast this morning, so I had a choice. Do I want to do the waffle? But I can't do the waffle and the potatoes and have a sweet drink. You got to make those choices. Like, okay, do half of the waffle and you can't just drizzle the syrup all over. You got to make those choices where you do it in moderation. And so I do it where I only have one carb per meal. So if I'm going to do it, I got to make the pick, potatoes or bread. You know, you just make the pick. I can't do both. So that's one small thing that I do at breakfast.
And
That's
that's how we
awesome.
instruct our patients too, actually. We say, look, limit yourself to one carb per meal, or if they like to carb count, some of our patients like to count carbohydrates, depending on how bad their diabetes is or how much weight they want to lose. You have your carbs should average somewhere between 40 to about 55 to 60. I've never said anyone do 60 unless they're just a athlete just hitting the track every day and that kind of stuff, because you're going to burn all that stuff. But if you're not moving a whole lot, you know, you want to cut those carbs back, because all carbs turn to sugar, and sugar is what spikes those blood sugars up. So we have to be really careful with the carbs. There are good and bad ones, but it's carbs nonetheless.
So as we wrap up our conversation with our national diabetes expert and also the volunteer expert, Kim Ketter. Kim, what's the one thing you want to leave with people about, especially as we are talking about checking in and checking up on each other?
Know your numbers, and got to know what those numbers are. You know, it's a big misconception that, you know, patients don't want a lot of this information, and that's not true. If you give them the information and help them to understand how it connects to their overall health, you know, they're going to do what you ask them to do. What I do want to drive home too is the connection between diabetes and heart health. A lot of people don't really understand that. And that's why we're so serious about diabetes. Diabetes is a microvascular disease, and it affects the small blood vessels, and they're in your heart, they're in your brain, they're in your kidneys. So if we ruin the blood vessels of your heart, your heart's not going to work. Yep, the big three, your heart's not going to work right. So the other thing with diabetes is that people don't get is people have these silent heart attacks too. And they have these silent heart attacks because diabetes can cause neuropathy, which causes nerve damage. And if the nerves don't work that touch your heart can't tell you that it hurts.
Right.
So you could be having a big fat heart attack and never have that clutching chest pain that you see on TV all the time. You may have some other symptoms like nausea, vomiting, dizziness, shortness of breath, but not the chest pain, because the diabetes has ruined the nerves. So I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of that connection.
And especially for women, it's a lot different, it seems, from what we're hearing in terms of those symptoms that happen to women as opposed to the gentlemen. Kim, I can't thank you. It's great to connect with you again. You are absolutely wonderful, and we appreciate your checking in and checking up with us, and also helping people understand the importance of those, knowing the numbers and other things that we can do. So thank you so much, and I hope to talk to you again soon. And you be well.
Thank you so much, Sybil.
Thank you.
Have a great one, David Mann. Take good care of yourself now.
Thank you. I'm a work in progress.
Amen. That's all we can ask.
That's right. That's right. This is Check In and Check Up, brought to you by the American Heart Association in partnership with American Diabetes Association.
My name is Hyvel. I always knew I was at risk, but I let it slide. I had a stroke and a quadruple heart bypass as complications to my type 2 diabetes. My sister inspired me to take a new step to getting back to a new life. Thanks to her, I've been given a second chance to redefine my health. Now I stay strong for us.
Manage the link between diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
All right. So, David, let's talk about the importance of movement as a diabetic. We do understand that activity is very important, and I know you understand this because our sedentary lifestyle for most of us is a part of our problem. But you have found a way, or you are working towards a way of keeping movement primary in your life, right?
And yes, definitely. And movement is so important as it relates to diabetes, because it doesn't take running 5 miles a day. If we just simply do a 30-minute walk just to get, because like Dr. Kim was saying, we can burn a lot of that. You notice a lot of athletes, we burn a lot of calories, burn it. You can burn a lot of that with just simply 30 minutes of a brisk walk a day. Just get moving and get started. And as you go, you'll notice that your cardio, you'll have to increase it, because 30 minutes will no longer be enough. And before you know it, you're doing a full 45 minutes in an hour or to an hour, and just because you're moving.
It is so important for us to just like that. And so that's your
Just like
upper
that.
cardio and
That's
things
my,
that
and
you.
I just worked out. I just worked out.
So what does that look like, David, for you in terms of your activity every day?
Now I like to I'm on the treadmill. Tam likes to take the walks outside. She likes
Mhm.
to hit the street. I like to be in front of the TV where I can turn and watch ESPN and sports as I'm working out. But it's walking, hitting the street. I like to go out in nature walks. I was telling you, I go out to the spot.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, go out to the spot and just walk out there and just move. And it doesn't have to be anything strenuous. It's just getting your body moving, burning off those carbs that we put in.
That's really important. And as you said, you have to make choices with that as well in your day-to-day
Right.
eating. Yeah. All right. So now let us go to another American Heart Association ambassador, Anthony Wilson. Anthony has a really great story to tell us. It's great to see you, Anthony. Welcome back, Pee Wee.
Hey Sybil, how you doing? Hey David, how you doing?
Hey man, he has a bit of a green thumb back there. He's plants growing and
It
everything.
looks like I'm gonna need you to come back over my way and check out this one over here. It's a little on the way. But Anthony, you are an EMT and you have a great story. But I want you to tell about the story, but also about checking in and checking up because you discovered through conversation the importance of checking in and checking up on our friends and family.
Right, so real quick, I was diagnosed in 2012. And for me, I went to the doctor every year, had a physical. I was feeling good. My wife and I decided we would go on a journey to try to lose weight together. So we did. I'm losing weight faster than she is. I'm talking all kinds of crap to her about you're just jealous because I look good and da 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 da. Because I lost like 40 pounds at that time. So she said, one day she said, "Babe, you just don't look good." I'm like, I'm fine. It's no big deal. She said, "No, you're losing a lot of weight. Your eyes are sunken." And she said, "I need to take you to the hospital." Reluctantly, I
Wow.
agreed. We get to the hospital. I remember her walking me through the door, and that was about it. I remember waking up in ICU a day later, and come to find out, my A1C, that 5.7 she was talking about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
my A1C was 17.2, and my blood sugar was 1098. So when you think about,
Wow.
average blood sugar being under 100, and then, an average A1C being 5.7, I was in kidney failure, I was in pancreas failure. Um, and the doctor told my wife that day, she said, "Look," because she had anticipated going to work.
Right.
She said, "Had you went to work when you got home, I'd have been dead in the bed when she got home because
Mm.
I was just that far gone." And
Wow.
thank God, to our Lord Savior Jesus Christ, He directed her to say, "Look, you need to take him to the hospital because something's
Wow.
wrong."
Wow.
So I was fortunate. Again, I wasn't fortunate. I was blessed more than anything
Mm-hmm.
else.
Right.
And when we talk about being an advocate and talking about diabetes and the awareness portion, I have a quick story about a friend of mine. I was in a hospital about a month and a half ago, visiting one of my friends that I've known for at least 40 years. We're hanging out, and the nurse comes in and she says, "Hey, I need to check your blood sugar." First, I'm questioning why is she checking his blood sugar because I don't know anything about diabetes per se with him. She said, "No, I just need to check it." So she checked his blood sugar and she said, "Oh, we need to give you some insulin because your blood sugar is high." And I looked at my wife and she looked at me
Mm.
and I'm thinking, hold on. Now, I've been dealing with this for years and years and years. And you never said anything to me about it. And was it because he was ashamed? And again, I think the Black community, we don't talk about things like that.
Right.
We
So in
just
order
live.
to check in, we don't. Do we not, David? We don't.
We just live with it. We live
Right.
with it and deal with it. I have a real good friend who not too long ago had a kidney transplant, and he told me, "Bro, get yourself together and don't come down this path." Because he had been struggling with diabetes, since we were 10th grade in high school.
Mm.
And now he calls me and say, "Hey, did you check your sugar level? Hey, did you do this?" And first with your homeboys like, leave me alone. But I get it. I get it,
Yep.
you know. And you know, he even turned me on to some, you know, things that made life easier, because that finger prick, it ain't for me. So there are other tools, and we'll talk about the other tools that's out there, technology that can help.
And that's a part of the checking in and checking up too. Checking on yourself when you have whatever devices you decide to use, David and Anthony. That's a part of checking in on ourselves. It's right there. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Right.
So Anthony, I find it really interesting, and I know we don't talk about this enough, and with a lot of our physical ailments, right? But you really are an ambassador. You are preaching the gospel of good health and taking care of yourself as a diabetic, and just recently connecting the two with one of your best friends. So how has that changed now in terms of your discussion, or has it with other people?
With that individual, nothing, because I didn't call him out on it like I probably should have. I just left it alone, and I'm just going to wait to see when he comes to me to have that conversation. But with others, I go to work every day, and I have employees, reaching out to me. Hey, I heard about this, or I seen this, or do you have questions? Can you answer this? Because they're experiencing either living with diabetes, or they get that pre-diabetes diagnosis. But again, I think they just feel comfortable because, I feel comfortable sharing my story, and that, like David said before, you can live with it. It's just, how you choose to live with it, and eat in moderation. So I think it's just easy, if you're open, and you're caring, and you keep it real more than anything else, with your family and friends. And I think they will reach out to you.
Do you find that too, David, Mann, in terms of people coming to you or asking questions, or is it something that people are still keeping to themselves?
I think it's a bit of both. It just depends on where
Okay.
you are. But what I found is just sharing the information, because when you share your story, you'll discover in that same crowd, me too. And all they were waiting for was somebody to
One person.
just say something.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it just takes one person to spark the conversation. Like now, it just takes us, people like us that live in the community, to spark the conversation and say, listen, this is not a death sentence. We I know doctors say that it's not curable, but I see that you can live a much healthier life minus having a heart attack and stroke and amputation and all of that, getting those numbers down, and creating a better lifestyle for yourself. So it depends on where you are.
Anthony, as we close this out, Anthony Wilson, I want to commend your wife for doing what we are here to do today, and checking in and checking up on people. Had she not done her due diligence as your wife and as your helpmeet, then no telling where we would be today. I certainly, as your doctor said, we may not be talking to you. But
I'm
she has
glad they
really
were on good
demonstrated.
terms, because she could have easily been like,
Got a point.
you got a good one, Doc. She could have been like, bye.
Have a nice day.
that insurance money looks good.
But she preferred you over that, so that's a great
true.
thing.
That's absolutely right. So we are seeing the benefits of checking in and checking up. And Anthony, thank you for checking in with us today. And as you continue your ministry in helping those in your community, we appreciate you. It's great to see you again.
Thank both of you. Appreciate it.
Great to see you.
So checking in and checking up about with our loved ones, and going to the doctor, and doing all of the things that are necessary. David, Mann, let's talk to you about the importance of nutrition. You discussed this earlier, how you make some choices in your meals and things like that. But overall, in terms of changing your way of eating, and introducing new things to your body and taking away other things, can you talk to folks about the importance of nutrition?
Yeah, it's a matter of, your nutrition is a matter of life and health. That's just you can say, the way I choose to do it is I take things in moderation. You don't have to totally cut off. It's just, you have to make those choices. Like I said earlier, I choose sometimes a bread over this, over potatoes, or I'd go a salad over, all of it. So you have to kind of keep in check and monitor your numbers. That's important too. So you'll know where you are throughout the day, and you'll know, okay, hey, I'm up a little bit already. So I'm just going to go some green leafy. That's another key important, green leafy vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the vegetables. Sugars, they're not our friends anymore.
Yeah.
And why would they make National Diabetes Month in November with all this good food? But it's doable. It's doable. We just have to make sure we do things in moderation, and it takes discipline. But you have to look at it, and guys, men, us especially, we have to make those decisions, because we'll definitely take better care of our cars than we do our body.
So, Anthony, you have not only changed your diet, but it seems as though, from what I understand, a whole way of eating and living in terms of the foods that you choose to take in these days, right? Does that mean being a vegan?
I'm not a vegan. I'm a vegetarian.
Okay.
So
okay.
and what I started,
And
yeah,
that's different.
because I still got to have a little cheese.
Mhm.
But I'm a
Yeah.
vegetarian because for a while, I mean, for about 16 years, no beef, no pork. I haven't done any of those. So I'm just down to maybe a little fish every once in a while. But for me, that worked. And it just cut down because my cholesterol was a little high. So I wanted to make sure that my cholesterol numbers came down a little bit. So I just chose to do more vegetables and fruit and things like that. So that's all a part of the nutrition of it.
That is so awesome because the healthy balanced diet, it can be a challenge. It's a tremendous challenge, even for those of us who do not have diabetes. Just changing and altering this lifestyle of
Right.
ours definitely makes it really possible for us to live that. No, go ahead.
Especially in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in our community with the food deserts that we have in our community.
Right.
So it
Right.
makes it extra hard, which we talk about the pandemic, that, kind of plays into how we're in this mess in the first place. But that's a
Yeah.
whole nother show.
Yeah, that really is. You're absolutely right. And it's these eating the healthy, balanced diet, the challenge, and making those tasty dishes at home when it's so much easier, to drive through and buy the bad stuff for you. But it's what is easier at one point makes your life more difficult at another, right?
Right.
And
So
so,
you can choose when you're gonna
yeah,
do. You can do it now you can do it now without being in the hospital, or you can do it later in the hospital. So one way or the other, you're gonna do it. I choose to do it this way.
so let's talk about some of these tasty dishes that are recommended by the American Heart Association in association with the American Diabetic Association. There's some good and good for you recipes like the Creole drums and green beans with mushrooms and onions. And there are a whole bunch of great recipes. You go to nodiabetesbyheart.org/recipes, nodiabetesbyheart.org/recipes, and you can get more information and some of those great recipes, perhaps to take to Thanksgiving dinner or for Christmas or whatever the holidays are, or just for a good Sunday when the Cowboys are kicking the devil out of somebody else. So you want to share those with folks, and that is a great way to check in and check up on people by taking these dishes and say, try it and let me know what you think and how it can really help you.
And you never know, because I've done some of those dishes and it's not bad. It's not. I mean, it's good. I don't want to say it's not bad. It's good. Now I'm not going to say all of them, but the majority of it, you just never know until you try.
Right. Absolutely. And the trying is you got to try. What can hurt but a try,
You
right?
gotta try.
That's right. And I think you have given us, to go along with check in and check out for your health. It's a matter of life and health. It really is. Absolutely is.
For me, that's what I've decided to do, because I don't want to leave Tamala here to some other guy. So I got. And that's something we talk about. Even in the book, we talk about not being a liability on each other. I want to make sure that, in our older age, because we're getting old, that we're living our best life. I don't want to, her pushing me around, and says, yeah, baby, come on, let's go. What we getting to eat? So I want us to live. No offense to nobody, I want to get canceled, but I just want to make sure that we're living our best life. And that means us taking care of ourselves now, checking up on ourselves now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's check in with a friend of yours. And this is a guy, another television giant and a funny man, and who recognized as well the challenges and changes that he needed to face and to make in his life. It is the one and only Anthony Anderson. I had an opportunity to have a conversation with him. And so let's check in on a few minutes of that conversation with Anthony Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he's bringing the funny as game show host of To Tell the Truth, hosting late night TV as star and executive producer of his hilarious trailblazing TV show Blackish, or killing it as the host of the NAACP Image Awards, Anthony Anderson is a man we all watch and we certainly admire. Welcome to us, to our little joint discussion today. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing all right. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, indigestion. I'm doing all right, Sybil. How are you?
I'm great and very, very, very pleased and honored to have you with us today.
As you should be. As you should be.
Tell me about the importance and talk to people, please, about the importance of the numbers that you have, because there seems to be, for those of us who are not diabetic, there's still some confusion in terms of numbers, understanding them and what they mean to you.
Well, all of those things are different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But some numbers I will talk to you about. To everyone that's watching and listening to this right now, people who have diabetes are twice as likely to have strokes and heart attacks than non-diabetic patients.
Right.
Those are numbers that we need to be concerned about. Twice as likely to have those things happen to them than non-diabetics. Your glucose numbers, which you're referring to or whatnot, that can be controlled somewhat to a degree. But in controlling those, these are ways that you control them. Mm-hmm. Eat better things, eat healthier things, get up, work out. And when I say work out, it doesn't necessarily have to be with weights, but we can talk about working out, walking upstairs as opposed to taking the elevator or the escalator, walking around your block, walking around the park, starting a brisk walk to get your heart rate up. To help with those things. Those are things that can help bring your numbers down. And if you do what your doctor is saying do, that's going to help as well. Most importantly, go see a doctor.
Yeah.
It's a shame that, we have to have celebrations or holidays or days of the year that are earmarked. Take a loved one to the doctor day today. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
But I've gone to these events and spoke. And we take our cars to get our oils changed every 3,000 miles. We go get our tires rotated on the car. We do everything that we're supposed to do around the house and whatnot. But the most important thing is we don't go see doctors.
Yeah.
And a lot of the pains and ailments and diseases that we eventually have could have been detected early on, and we could have done something to stave them off or prepare for whatever the future may hold for that. And so those are the things that, I talk about. I go around the country speaking of. It's Diabetes Awareness Month, and we're bringing awareness to this disease, and we want everyone to get as much information as they can so they can live a long, healthy life.
You're doing good things there, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Keep up the great work. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Take care.
All right. Take care.
Be
Sybil.
well.
You too, my love. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. It's all these Anthonys today. I just can't believe it. We went from J. Anthony to Anthony, our friend, and now Anthony Anderson. And I understand David A.
David A. Mann. David Anthony Mann.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
What is the connection? What is that? That is crazy. Yes, it is. All right. So David, let's talk about another important issue of taking care of ourselves. And that is the caregiving aspect, right? This is
Right.
an opportunity for us. Not only are we going to talk about how important it is for us to take care of ourselves, but also we have people in our lives who are, they may not be the official designated caregivers, but definitely they are the caregivers in our lives. And so let's talk about that. Let us go and introduce Miss Pat Bailey. She is a caregiving coach. She is a coach extraordinaire. And Pat, I want people to understand how you come to this, because you are a licensed therapist in this respect, and talking about caregiving, and how this affects people as we check in and check up on them, and especially those who are affected by diabetes. Hello, Pat Bailey.
Hello there, Sybil. And this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for this. And hi, David, Mann. And
Hello.
How are you? You know what? It's really great that you set the stage for this, because you called it life and
Right.
health.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Life and health.
And that fits right in with this whole subject of caregiving. And what has brought it to the table in my instance is that I was a caregiver. I've been a caregiver for siblings with diabetes. I've been a caregiver for a dad with hypertension. And then I've been a caregiver for my mom with Alzheimer's. My house is the hub for caregiving. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
You were born a nurse.
Okay. And she really was, and she has it's a real calling for her. And so Pat Bailey, as our caregiving expert and coach, can you give us the definition, because as you say, there are formal and informal definitions of this?
Yeah, so consider it caregiving from a definition standpoint. Formal is, of course, that particular individual that is being paid for overall care, versus informal, that is us, y'all. Okay. That is really and truly our family member. And that's where we're taking care of someone who is possibly disabled or influenced with the disease states of the diabetes, with the Alzheimer's and other conditions as a whole. And what's staggering, Sybil, it is amazing to me that we're talking about 53 million people in the United States dealing with that role of caregiving today.
Right.
And as these disease states increase, because we aren't practicing quote unquote life and health, right? We're doing something other than that, is making it that much complicated on the families. Right. We need to take care of ourselves. We really do.
For those of you just joining us, this is Check In and Check Up for Your Health, brought to you by the American Heart Association in partnership with the American Diabetes Association. And our caregiver coach is also the founder of She Ages Well, and Families Learn How to Age Well Together. It's a caregiver community resource and outreach initiative, and you are constantly reaching out. But 53 million people, that's a staggering number. Who are we caring for? As you mentioned in your family, overall, is it the same thing? We're caring for our parents and as children, and in this society, our friends as well.
It's relatives. It's definitely relatives to a great extent. It really and truly is. And what even makes it that much more complicated is the amount of time that we're taking caring for these loved ones. You can see some families spending as much as 6 hours a day addressing caregiving. You can see it being able to span the 6 hours is meal prep, right? That's a big part of it. But what about those of us who are having to care for the loved one that may have experienced diabetes in a state where they're no longer able to be mobile?
Right.
So now you're dealing with transfer in terms of bathing, in terms of how they get to and from bed care. All of these things become an issue for us. And the caregiver role, honestly, in terms of the United States and who we are, and as Black people, it's not going anywhere, guys.
Yeah.
Right.
One interesting thing that you talk about, Pat Bailey, is about it's as if you put on your cape and you say caregiver help is here.
It's definitely here.
What does that look like when you do that? And let's talk about the love language that is necessary.
We do not intentionally know how to love ourselves in this process. And loving ourselves is, once again, I'm sorry, David, I'm all over that life and health. Because
okay.
because when you think about that, and you can understand that if I'm not, we know about eating properly in some instances. We choose. I mean, it's the choice between your greens. Come on, y'all. It's here comes Thanksgiving. Are you going with the turkey necks? Are you gonna put some ham hock in there? Come on. I mean, what we working with, right?
Mm-hmm,
Right.
mm-hmm.
We are making a choice for taste.
Right.
But we know that we can make a difference in being able to adjust our cooking to be more healthy. We can do that.
Got it. Let's talk about the love language as well as the plans in order to alleviate some of the things that can happen, not only as a result of the holidays, but because of your physical and mental condition. And depression is real. So how do we as caregivers help others during these stressful times?
There's two things I want everyone to consider in this lane of caregiving as we approach the holidays, and that is, we sometimes get very, very angry in being assigned that caregiver role. It doesn't digest easily. And I'm going to say to all caregivers, unfortunately, we're going to have to accept that role and know that it can be a gift for us in the end, because maybe we'll take that opportunity to care for ourselves. Learn by how we are serving others and what they did and didn't do, and serve yourself. Right. So in that instance, I want you to be intentional and set relaxation as a mind mold for you. I want you to decide that I'm going to actually make a schedule for me time. Mm-hmm. Because even if you break the time schedule, you know that come on, let's pick up these phones, right? Let's set that time every day. I'm glad it wasn't ringing, right?
Yeah.
And that is your way of knowing and understanding that I need to give myself that hour. I need to be able to, even going back to the buddy up, someone needs to come relieve me for an hour or two so I can go handle my nails. I'm sorry. COVID taught us a whole different thing about caring for ourselves.
That's
right.
Right.
Pat Bailey, before we run out of time, how can people reach out to you? How can they get more information from you about your caregiving ministry?
Thank you for calling it a ministry, because that's where my heart is in serving. SheAgesWell.com. Major resources available for you there. And I'm going to make sure that there'll be downloadable treats of information that people can take advantage of. And they can also email me at sheageswell@gmail.com. As a caregiver coach, I'm here to serve God's people. And as David said, life and health.
That's right. And David, she's got some great products too. You might want to check those out as a little something for the Christmas stocking for the missus.
Does she have anything for hair?
Actually, my brother testifies to my jelly and jams, and that his hair, he gets complimented all the time because he's all the way bald. I see a little something going on up there, right? Maybe not. Just a little bit.
And we usually don't talk about jelly and jams and our brothers, but that's a good thing. All right. So, Pat Bailey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much too, Sybil. I appreciate you guys.
All right. So I just want to take a moment before we wrap this up, David, because we've had so much information and great conversation, but something that I do want to share with people as your neighborhood health and wellness advocate, just breathe. When times get stressful, when things are, going just not quite the way you want, and these last minute things happen and life altering events happen,
take a deep breath.
Just breathe.
Find that place that just makes you.
Yep. And I know that you're on your way to that place, because everybody should be in the place of David Mann, of recognizing and finding that place of peace. And so we want to encourage people to do that. Of course, we are here not only to help you find peace and breathing properly, but also check in with your loved ones, with your friends, even some that you might want to be a closer friend. Check in on them.
Check in on them. That may be the way in.
That's it. That's exactly right. Just checking on you, darling.
Maybe she be the right one.
And don't forget, let's check in with our doctors, get those regular checkups in, and as well as every day. You can do it anywhere at any time. Breathe and find peace.
Right.
David Mann, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. You are absolute delight. We've had the opportunity to have interviews over the years, but spending this time with you has just given me new life, and I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And if you ever need me, I'm only a phone call away.
And you know what? Because you have given us so much life here, and it's about life and health, we are going to continue to call upon you to spread the good word.
Well, thank you so much. I look forward to it.
All right. So I want to thank the American Heart Association and especially our good friend, Arika Kaysen, who has probably the best heart of anyone you'd ever know. Also to the American Diabetes Association, to our guest, Kim Ketter, as well as Anthony and our caregiving coach, Pat Bailey, and Anthony Anderson, if I did not mention him already, and David Mann. Once again, a big thank you to you. And to all the folks who are watching today, thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to check in and check up. And we seek to inform and empower you here on It's Sybil, the Sybil Wilkes Live Show. And so continue to do that. And if we can do anything to help you in your journey, we are just a text away.
And love more, judge less.
Come on. And watch Assisted Living on BET. Because that's where your laughter and joy is coming from.
Yes.
Thank you, David. Love to you and to Tamala. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You take care.
You too, darling. Thank you.